If you just want to relay, and I'll just add on to add on to the end of it.
Yeah, 525, you missed it, so I'll just kind of just cap it up. Step one is whenever any LEOs are arriving to a 1090, we did a fantastic job, is what I do want to say, of code 6 in the area first. But what we need to make sure that we are remembering is it's going to be kind of a two-plan attack, right? So first on scene is going to be negotiator, second on scene, or whoever maybe sees fit, if second on scene isn't comfortable, is going to be executing the tactics or the plan, or obviously setting up what's going on outside the bank. Long story short, no way in hell is there going to be a person that's going to be able to do it both efficiently and keep everyone safe. So let's just make sure that we're doing that in a two-plan attack. And of course, like I said, or like even the negotiator or the suspects wanted, if it needs to be switched out, that's able to do so. But let's make sure for everyone's safety, we're doing it with two people. Second thing is the radio chatter or the RTO. So make sure that we're not thinking anyone's radio chatter is more important than anyone else's. The only time anyone should ever be talking over anyone else on RTO is if you hear a break. So there was an instance where I witnessed two fellers drive their vehicle over spike strips that were left. I was kind of stuttering my radio traffic because I was trying to talk to them as they were doing it to get them to stop. And I was told basically not to relay my message through the radio traffic because it wasn't as important to the bank robbery. So, there's just always going to be times, or there's always going to be enough time where someone, if they can relay it clearly, will only have to say it one time instead of multiple times it having to be relayed and cluttering up their RTO. And then just lastly, as far as what's going on the bank and outside the bank, so make sure we're relaying that better with whoever's on the scene. So that way, obviously, the outside units and the inside units can coexist and work coherently and keep everyone safe at the end of the day. That was kind of it, just rounded up. Corporal had some couple things he wanted to point out, and then we'll let everyone get on their day.
Mine's basically just added onto the third point of what Taylor said there. We need to make sure
only 10-17-42.
We need to make sure that all the people on the inside loop, that being you three, not trying to call any name, just saying, you just need to make sure that information is being relayed to the outside group, because in that, me, Taylor, and Bubbles had absolutely no idea what was happening, and the actual people, the rest of the suspect, we did not know they even left the building.
I relayed
the compound.
everything over radio.
No, see, we spike stripped the one guy that was scuffed, but the other car with everyone else in, we didn't even know that had left the big story car park, basically. That's all I wanted to say. Just make sure information is being relayed to the outside people, because
yeah, I can explain all this.
Those are the ones
very simply. The guy in question.
No, I'm not. It's fine. I'm not trying to tell him off. I'm just saying.
It's hard to explain over the radio. This is why it wasn't done. I'll explain it so you understand. One of the guys appeared to fall through the concrete when he was exiting the car park. So it's very hard for me to explain that over RTO, and I'm definitely not allowed to explain that over RTO. The other three I couldn't see. They were in the hallway and had a hostage standing in the doorway. So all I knew is that at the point they did not get on the bus, which I did relay to you guys. And I said, "Oh, can you get both
so
entrances
I think the confusion is
secure?"
I think the confusion is it's not directed towards you. I think actually what he's getting at is when you were trying to relay it, there is an officer who was asking, is this secure? Is that secure? So just more of what you were doing as opposed to what another officer thought maybe the stage wasn't aligning up to where the officer that maybe was even close to you couldn't even help you or be as most of assistance as he should have been.
But for me,
so me personally, after the spike strips were called, I was looking for a bus. I didn't know what they were in. You know what I mean?
I had no idea they were in either.
That's just me personally. And that's okay. If that's okay, if you don't know what that's in, me personally, I'm not the best at the 10 codes. So instead of the 10 codes and what I practice on, is just saying what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? Or just holy shit, like I can't see them. Just dispatch, be advised, I can't see 3 of the individuals. You know what I mean? Just just letting us know if some type of update. I think is better than none. Obviously, go ahead, sir.
Sorry, you got to remember we were letting them go. The plan was for any hostage negotiation, when we get the hostage out, we let them drive a block away before we attempt to pursue. Not immediately.
See, that's the thing. We
should not be.
We didn't have any radio chatter that they were getting away.
Okay.
That's all I'm trying to say. We had no radio chatter that they were getting away, or else we would have chased.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. We had none of that radio chatter.
Well, we knew which direction they were going towards the bus, so we knew we should have.
Wait.
Go on.
I hate to disagree here, but I think somebody did call out which way they were going in what vehicle, if I recall correctly. That we did.
I believe
call
that was
out
correct.
that
was. No, I believe that was gonna be 137. If I get your call sign correct, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
right.
looking at my phone.
Because
he did call out the correct. Sorry, not to cut you off real quick, Corporal. He did call out that they were leaving in the bus and the direction that they were leaving. But then, as I remember, and this might have been where the confusion maybe kicked in, he said actually they're going into the garage park standby.
Yeah, they changed.
So I don't know.
They changed the plan.
Yeah.
So
no,
I
actually,
not much I can do about that.
Sorry, but gentlemen, I
User
gotta
joined
pick
your
up here.
channel.
No, that's what we're here
That
for.
is
You know, like I
correct.
said, this is a
DOT
learning
99 would
exercise.
be 10A 1041.
So there was a
10-4.
audible, and we were all stationed for the bus that was leaving outside the garage park there. But as we were stationed at the garage park, I was actually in the back of the bus waiting to see what further negotiation was going to happen. And, you know, next thing I know, my vehicle was staged on the other street of the bus. So I had like a call. So I made a call for, I believe, this gentleman over here to go ahead and take over the hostage negotiation. And so I was staged on the other side of the street. I was in my vehicle waiting for the bus to pursue. And next thing I know, they were leaving out the other side of the garage.
Of the car park.
So,
Yeah. Well.
yeah.
I don't know. My thing is I think we were still less prepared for that.
I think the main thing to take away from this, guys, is you all did really well, and we got the hostage out alive, which is a fantastic result. We had no 10-13s,
Exactly.
shootings. I know it wasn't perfect, we didn't catch everybody, but the point is we saved the hostage. And in the future, what this means is if these guys or any of their friends decide to rob a place, they're going to be far more willing to negotiate because they realize that we're going to honor the deals. And that's the point.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
Sorry,
Go ahead, sir.
I was going to say, me and Jones were pretty much, like, I don't know, building away from the bank as they were going in. So we pulled off to go into that multi-story car park north of the bank to set up a sniper nest. And yeah, I just thought it was funny that like all 5 or 6 of them actually running the bank in there. In regards to the hostage, I don't know, he seemed as eager to get in there as they did.
Well, I wasn't given that.
That's what.
I wasn't given that
I agree
information
with.
when I was negotiating, to be honest.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to speak up here. So I was actually the first negotiator on scene, and they were negotiating a lot of stuff, and the hostage seemed negotiating with them. So they may have been pretty pissed with me declining a lot of their negotiations, but the only thing I was able to negotiate was a ride. That was it. And no spike strips. But other than that, when they called for a second negotiator, I stepped aside. But my feelings is, you know, they had leverage, but I also had leverage. Their lives.
We checked the hostage out.
So-
We checked him for weapons, for any illegals. Nothing. He had weapons on him, but he had no illegal weapons, or he had no drugs, no nothing. Before we let him go, he didn't. As far as we can, there's nothing we can prove. I've got body cam running, and I did not see anything I could prove that he was in on it from his attitude. He didn't make any kind of
But my
attempts
point
to stop us.
is that they were pissed because I didn't give in to their negotiations, but we
That's
both have leverage.
Yep, you can.
Their
Well,
leverage is their lives. Our leverage is the hostage, which is number one. But I didn't give in to a lot of the negotiations.
I gave him some food and water, and I got the vehicle. It's not that I'm just trying to undermine you or anything. It's simply the fact I'm trying to avoid us getting the bloodbath. Especially after when I came on duty, you guys apparently all got shot at the same bank earlier today. So I thought, let's try and avoid this. I know I'm only a trooper, but if you're not aware already, I have had a lot of experience in this PD, and I have done a lot of negotiations. I'm not saying you're bad at it at all in any way, but I just thought the best way to get that, to calm that situation down, was just to get. I passed a couple of bit of food and water through the window. I mean, that means nothing to me. I get paid enough that I can fucking afford to pay some more. I picked the slowest vehicle I could find, so that they, if they were going to get away, they weren't going to get away very fast. But we also didn't know how many were in the bank.
Actually, when I saw your vehicle pick, that was superb. But my problem is that in most negotiations I've been in, food and water has been a no-go. So I don't know. Either we need more training, or I'm doing something wrong.
So how I did it was there was a window adjacent to the door. I broke the glass and then passed the water and food through that. I told them I'm not coming in there, and I doubt they're going to come out to get the food and water. So I said we'll just do it for the glass, but neither of us is at a disadvantage, and they were okay with that. That's the thing. You don't want to ever go inside and become another hostage. That's usually why they don't do the food and water thing. They also usually don't want to come out.
All right.
But if you anything you can do, I mean, it means nothing. I mean, we're not giving them anything. We're not giving them weapons. We're not giving them a fucking escape vehicle at that point. We're just giving them something basic that we can buy in, like, next paycheck. And just keeps them calm down, chills them out.
To me, that's great. But we need to be on the same page, because what you did is fine, but the rest of the fucking.
It's gonna be basically a case-by-case basis. It's gonna be at your inclination, whoever is arriving on scene. You know what I mean? Obviously, you and the way your negotiation was headed just wasn't on that path, which is okay. That doesn't have to be.
Well, no, it might work for other guys. His one.
Yeah, exactly. But the way 137 was able to go about his negotiation and his delivery, that was his path, And maybe there's a time where he won't get food, or he will get food. It's not gonna be by the book. Hey, every single time if they ask for food, we're gonna give them food. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. If they're being super hostile and then they're asking for the moon and then they're asking for food, probably not gonna comply with them. So it's gonna be case by case, and it's gonna be by your judgment if you're the negotiating officer.
I think this comes back to the fact that you guys never had academy, right? So you guys never went for any of this stuff, because when you guys all joined, there was no academy.
I mean, here's my problem. My problem is, every time I arrive to these bank situations, we always give in to what their demands are. If they demand no strips, then we don't do any strips. If they demand food, we give them food. My problem is, every time these people go to a bank robbery, we always give in to their demand. Hostage or not, we needed to... If they have a hostage, that's fine. I get that. But we also got to be smart.
Yep.
And I think sometimes we just give in to the chase.
Well, the hostage was definitely in it. I know that for a fact. But the reality is, I got no reason to suspect. Other than suspicions, I've got no proof. The guys were gonna.
No proof other than they're in the bank.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything that I've seen that I could use to arrest him, so I could not do that. However, I'm pretty sure he was in it. He was armed with a shotgun, a pistol, and a fucking knife on him, so he could have freed himself if he really wanted to.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. If they don't have a hostage in this scenario, and they're not being aggressive, what's not you, 137, 525, what's going to be your play? Because it's sounding like, obviously, you're not happy that a lot of them are ending in vehicle pursuits or foot bails or whatnot. And I just want to obviously remind you that it's not in any police force or any police body's ability, law, SOPs, or power to shoot first unless they are directly threatened with lethal force, or of course a gun is pointed at you. So I mean, if a bank robber of course is pointing a gun at you when they're in the bank, when they're leaving the bank, when they're entering, exiting, whatever you may have it, of course your life is going to be threatened. But simply because someone's robbing a bank does not give us the right to shoot them. I do just want to remind you of that. Okay.
No, you can remind me of that. That's fine. But if they're robbing a bank with no hostage, are you going to say that we're just going to wait outside and answer to every one of their demands?
So here's one I've done.
That's all I'm saying.
I've done a bank job once.
Why are we going to answer to every one of their demands?
I've done a bank job once with no hostage.
If they call for no, I know, but hold on. If they're going to call for no spike strips, are you going to say that we're not going to lay spike strips just because they called for it?
You can say whatever you want to them. You
So
don't have to
I've
tell them.
never-
But I'm just
yeah,
going to
I've
say.
never been on the.
So I was going to quickly jump
Go
in
ahead.
quickly.
Yeah,
I've had a bank robbery before with I think it was like 6 suspects, no hostage, in Polito. We had officers outside. I managed to get them outside. I all charged them all. But what I did was I offered them unarmed robbery, even though they all had guns. They didn't have a hostage. They didn't have anything else. I said, look, we'll get you out. We'll get you safe. We got them all booked. We confiscated any illegal weapons, any illegal items they had on them. But if they got any money from the vault, that was theirs. Different situations, different calls. You don't have to negotiate with them, but the point is, if you ever breach the bank, especially the one in like up on Vinewood, you know it's fucking messy, very messy. And it might seem like the great idea to do it at the time, but when you go in there and you get 3 or 4 cops down, and then suddenly you're trying to scramble around, you got no one left on the exterior, and then they're getting away anyway. It just feels like they're going to do that every
our
time.
job is to de-escalate situations, okay? Or, you know what I mean? We want to
No,
try
I
to
get
de-escalate
that.
any way possible. So I've never been on a scene with you, on a 1090 with you without a hostage. If there ever was no hostage on a scene, I would probably say we would shorten or not comply with a lot of their demands, absolutely. But me personally, I'm not ever trying to propel it or aggress it anymore. You know, I want to make sure that all of my brothers are getting home at the end of the day, right? So there's gonna obviously it's gonna be different if there's no hostage, absolutely. And I can't speak for who was the lead officer on a 1090 when there was no hostage for you. You know, I don't want to put words in someone's mouth, but me personally, if I was the lead officer, it would be a lot shorter leash. You know, I would put spike strips if there was no hostage, 100%. Then that's just speaking for myself. So, you know, there's a lot of things I think is going to be different for each officer and how they see to handle each instance, and that's just unfortunately that's just going to be a judgment call. You know, it might not always be right or wrong, it might not always be what you agree with, but it is going to be a judgment call for the most part, and it is going to be, you know, up to the officer who arrives on scene. So of course, if you're the officer on scene and you really want to place spike strips, even if there is a hostage, you can do it. But all I would advise you is it's going to come on you if they ever see you doing that. So it needs to be like Corporal did with his +1. They placed it out of sight, so it was out of sight, out of mind, and it ended up working. So it's just, all I can say, and I'm not trying to brush you over, I do hear what you're saying. You know, if they don't have the components to leverage us, why are we letting them? I hear what you're saying, and all I can say is, you know, if it's happened with you before, just kind of live and learn. You know what I mean? You might not agree with it every time, but it happens, right? So at the end of the day, the most important thing is to make sure as many people are safe. And that's just my personal viewpoint, but that's the way I was trained. Is safety is the number one concern for me. I don't know about everyone else.
Safety is number one, and I am actually going to speak up because I'm kind of tired of these bank robberies turning into chases that could harm more people. So we're going to say that every time that they're going to request no spike strips, we're just going to bow down to the request, even if we put
I guess you might have missed I guess you just missed my point when I said it's going to be a case-by-case basis, right? Or it's going to be a judgment call. So no way in hell did I ever blanket that was going to be every single time. So I don't know why you're assuming that, but no, sir. It's going to be a case-by-case basis for whoever is the negotiating officer or the second officer who is handling the scene control. That does not mean it's going to be every single time. I even told you, even though they requested no spike strips, Corporal still placed spike strips. There's been times where they have requested spike strips or no spike strips, and we have still placed them. So it's not going to be every single time they ask for something we comply, but you know, you do have to remember, if someone has a gun pointed to the head in the bank, we have limited things we can do.
Well, it's like I was negotiating then at the end, but I didn't.
Yeah, we still have to be careful about it.
I didn't request spike strips by anybody.
Handle it, that's okay.
But what I do is I do trust you guys to make the right call, even if I'm talking to them at the front, I know you guys are listening to what I'm saying. I'm relaying the information to you. You guys make the tactical call. That's not my job. I'm there to have a chat to them. If you guys make the right call, look, if they request no spike strips, that's great. They might request a fucking helicopter and $1 million. But the point is, we can say, yeah, sure, we haven't got any. We haven't got any at the bank. Doesn't mean we haven't got any right around the corner.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean we haven't got like 15 cops waiting in a fucking helicopter nearby.
Can I say one thing?
Yep.
Just 1 second. I see that, but I don't see it a lot of the times. And with that, you can go ahead and say what you need to say.
Okay. The thing is, we all, and like I said, I realize this may sound funny and quirky, but it kind of applies here. Is that, we were all taught as youngins, that we, if you're in danger or something like that, there is a good thing called a little white lie. Obviously, they're always going to ask for no spike strips. That's always going to happen. But the main thing is that, and I've been taught this in other jurisdictions, if we put them a block away, just obviously, we should automatically assume that we are going to put them down regardless of if they ask for them or not. Because they're going to ask for no spike strips regardless of the time. And the thing is, like I said, as long as we're not seen putting them right down in front of their vehicles in front of the bank, it's okay to tell them a little white lie. It's not going to cause that big of a rift, to put those things down. I feel like, if we put them down a block away, that's fine. We're not influencing the situation at the bank. We're more or less, we're still keeping what we're saying to them correct.
Yeah, because by that time we're gonna have the hostage secure, and then they'd have no leverage left on us. So we can by then that time go ahead and chase them.
Me miss. I just want to touch on that actually, what you were saying. Who was on during the Android robbery, Polito? Was you on Melbourne? I can't remember. Yeah.
Yep. Right
you
here.
remember back then that they were saying, they want any spike strips out front of their vehicles and out front of the bank. What did I say? Yeah, there's no spike strips there. Then I hand it over to Melbourne and I radio through Whisper. I'm like, if we can get spike strips at least a block away on the corners or whatnot, so then they can't see them. Yeah,
and it worked. We got
actually, one of them hit mine. That actually alludes to my point. My point being is, I'm just saying in general, we hear no spike strips and nobody lays spike strips. A lot of the times I hear that, nobody's laying spike strips.
That's happened about once or twice in my 1090s I've ever been in, and I've been in a few. And it's happened in the past 2 days. The last 1090s before this one, that's not happened. And that's because it's been at the same place where the one we had just before this one, we got gunned down really quick by them, so we didn't really get into negotiations at all. And then the 1090 at the same place before that one, I don't know what was going on. Once again, it wasn't good communication. But yeah, we should always lay spike strip, whatever anyone says.
Just have as a policy, just have them a block away.
I just want to read.
I'm with you guys. I'm with you guys wholeheartedly. I just feel like anytime they say no spike strips, we just don't lay spike strips at all.
I just want to reiterate one of Chief Chief Karma's famous phrases, okay, which we all need to pay attention to, is that we got to drop that must-win attitude. We can't win every situation.
Yeah. It's not a must-win.
Let me finish. We can't win every situation. We can't win every victory. We can't win every bank robbery. Sometimes we're going to lose, and sometimes we can lose, and we can choose. We can choose the way that we lose.
Hey, let him finish, okay, sir?
We can choose the way that we lose, like that one. We technically didn't catch those guys. Okay, they got away, but the fact is, we didn't do it in a way that made us look bad. We did it in a way that made them feel like they've got through to us. We managed to save a hostage. It's a victory. It's not the victory, but it is a victory, and we need to take that as a good sign. I mean, there are lots of things that we could say we could do better, we could say we can improve it, and we should do this, we should do that, we should not give them this, but the reality is, you guys are all standing here rather than in pillbox. And I think we should take that as a good thing, and we should just move on and say, yeah, okay, we could have done something better, maybe we can look at it in the future, but if we dwell on it for too long, we're just going to find more negative holes of what we can do and what we could do.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, so the basic gist of what he's just said, the basic gist of what he's just said is you don't have to win every battle to win the war.
I do apologize. Actually, according to what happened at that bank robbery where we all got gunned down, like, we could do better. I'm not saying we got to win every single thing, but with our regular standard SOP, when they require something, like, we need to take that to an advantage. Well, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's going to work.
You know, we wouldn't be stood here if we didn't know that we had to be better. Like, that's why we're stood here talking about how we can, you know, improve it.
For example,
and that's
after
why
that
I'm
one
speaking up.
This one, after that one before this, John, that just happened, well, the same one where we all got gunned down. Jones and I, we went back over there to scout out the area.
Milburn.
A bit of feel. Yeah, same difference. I'm always with Jones. You're just a Jones copy, shush.
Wow.
We went back over there, scouted the area, make sure, you know, just to find extra vantage points and whatnot. So then we had the roofs covered for you guys. I think, you know.
No, it makes sense.
That's the first time
I've
ever had a heist in that bank. I never even knew it was robbable, to be honest.
In that sense, it makes
Perhaps wasn't relayed to you. Part of the training that we received, and it is going to be our SOPs. It's going to be at the like I've said maybe 3 or 4 times now. It's going to be at the discretion of the negotiator and the scene control officer. So that is our SOP. And if you don't agree with that, that it's something that you're in my substation. I just checked. We could have a sit down with who's going to be our higher up, who's going to be Mr. Spector, Harvey Spector. We don't have a captain right now, but we can run it up the ladder. But that is our SOP.
No, that's fine.
You know, that's
Let's
that's
have a
the way it's written
conversation.
for multiple reasons. It's probably not going to be something you agree with, but it's been written that way for a reason, right? You know, it's at the discretion of the 2 officers who are going to be in control for a reason. You know, if you don't, and just to let you know, if you don't agree with it, I'm sure you're going to be in multiple 1090s in your career where you'll be in control and you can do it your way, where other people also won't agree with it, right? There's been multiple 1090s, 1038s, code 5 stops where I just plain and simply don't agree, but I kind of just bite my tongue and move on with it, right?
Yeah, but there should be a standard. So if you want to get Harvey and you, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Let's sit down and let's talk about that. But there should be a standard.
Like I said, I've repeated it 4 times now. There is a standard. I just don't believe you were given the standard. So that might be the difference.
Okay. We'll talk about that.
Fantastic. So if everyone's got everything off their chest, we'll go ahead and get back on the streets. I know some people are going to clock off, so I appreciate all you guys. I know it seems like this was a negative room, but it was so we can just get
I don't
better
think so.
and we could all be safe. No, it's not at you or anything. I mean, me personally, I'm a shy guy. I don't like saying this stuff, you know what I mean? So I just, at the end of the day, I just want all of us to be safe because I've gotten shot and, you know, my legs are like 90% prosthetic right now. So I can only take a couple more bullets, all right? So at the end of the day, I just want to make sure we're all that backs you up. No, that's what I'm saying. If Spectre backs you up, he can bring it up to the appropriate matters, and you know,
Absolutely.
something can either get changed or not. But that way,
hierarchy here, but once we walk out,